price is always the number one objection. You can have an AI agent take on those few phone calls in the evening, probably worth spending the extra couple $100. Miss having dinner with your wife and kids because you're busy answering phone calls like I used to? Well, don't do that.
All right. Well, welcome back, everybody, to Roofer2Roofer. This is your opportunity to ask Scott and I any question you have about the roofing business. We got Scott, owner of Rainstoppers Roofing and SDR Consulting, and then myself, co-founder, CEO of ProLine. So we got the tech side, software side of the roofing business, and the owner side of the actual roofing business as well. And so any questions you guys have, we would love to answer your questions. Anything regarding roofing, you can drop those into the chat or into the Q&A area in Zoom, and we will answer those. Until we have questions from you guys, we have our own questions to go through. So we'll start with one of those while we wait for you guys to drop us something. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm gonna start us off with a firecracker question. This always ends up getting a lot of engagement, and a lot of people giving opinions. What is how much should you expect to pay your sales reps in commission per job?
Yeah, that is a one that gets a lot of different answers. So it all depends on the structure of their entire, compensation package. So like, for instance, if you're going to have a 1099 sales rep that supplies their own truck and puts their own fuel in their own truck and provides their own leads, yeah, they're literally basically running a business for you. You should probably pay them a significant percentage of sales. So, that structure may be a 15% commission, we do the exact opposite. So our guys are W-2, everything's provided, including leads. They basically just have to go show up for their appointments, do the sales process. They do have to see it through production. So we do have that, but we pay 7% for commission. So, and then there's all kinds of ways to fall in between there, right? Like if you were a W-2 employee and, but you were providing your own leads through canvassing or different things like that, then maybe you get, maybe you're going to be like a 10% structure. So, I think it's all about the entire compensation package as a whole, I think.
Yeah, it makes sense. When you're saying 7 or 15%, are you talking about 7 to 15% of the profit? Or are you talking about 7% of revenue?
Sales of revenue. And there's ways to do it of profit too. I know there's the 10-50-50 split that some people do. I think that's a crazy way to do business, but I know a lot of people do that. I got out of doing profit commissions because of the additional accounting involved to do it, and a little bit of a level of just difficulty of presenting that right. So here's the example. So we did a sliding pay scale. If it hit a certain margin, they'd get 5%. If it hit the next, level on the ladder, they got 7%, and so on and so forth, clear up to say 10%, right? The problem with that is if it makes, say, a net profit of 20%, and then the next on the ladder is 25%, well, let's say it makes 24%, but there's some returns involved. Well, maybe those returns took you to 25.2% net profit. Well, that's just another thing to have to keep track of and really keep an organization of. Then we're dealing with bulk material on most of our projects, and now you're having to deal with that and figuring that into the equation on everything. There's just a lot of pieces. I can track all that stuff in the back end for our accounting, but I don't want to have to deal with the sales rep every single week going through that stuff and that being their livelihood, and then them having doubt that it's correct. They're spending all their time basically questioning, well, did I get paid the right amount, or what about this? I just want them to go sell. So if I want to go sell, the best thing to do is make the pay structure as simple as possible. We've got parameters set in ProLine. They can only sell at a certain gross profit margin. It's set, it's locked. They can't change it. As long as they put the right quantities of material in, they can't screw it up. So, yeah, I think it's just a much simpler, cleaner process.
Yeah, that makes sense. With the profit split, with that model, one of the issues with that model is that it means like everyone implements it differently. That's one of the things we found. And when you did do that model, the profit split, what was it that you guys did and how did you implement it? Was it a 10-50-50 that you guys did?
No, it was a sliding scale of net profit. So basically, we would figure out what the job netted, and we had 15% came out off the top for overhead, and that's truly what we were running.
Off the top, as in off the revenue for the job, gross revenue for the job?
Yeah, so we're a 10-50-50. They take 10 off the top.
Yeah.
I was taking 15 off the top. We were running 15% overhead. I'm taking 15% off the top.
Yeah.
Again, their W-2 trucks provided. That's probably where the additional 5% is coming from. So anyway, yeah, so we'd take 15% off the top, and then it had to hit. The base was a 10% net profit. That was base. To get any commission at all, I had to do 10%. Then if it did 15% net profit, they got an extra so much. 20%, an extra so much. 25% was like the max. So, yeah, that was how we did it on that. Again, I don't think that's the right way to do it. I think the right way to do it is off sales, and then just have a good enough process and system, ideally in your CRM and in your quoting tool, that alleviates all that doubt and question. I mean, if they're screwing it up, you should probably fire them. That's how I feel about it. If they've screwed it up so much that they can't make profit in a system that's almost dummy proof, they might need to look for a new occupation.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes there's just standards. You don't need to
Right.
have super complex. We have a role here at ProLine we were hiring for, and we were trying to do some crazy thing with commission. And it was like, well, yeah, we can do this, but it's going to be so much work. Why don't we just keep it simple? And then it's like, either they do a good job or they don't,
Right.
So
yeah, it's not hard to figure out.
yeah, there's a balance there for sure. Cool. All right. So, but at the end of the day, just to circle back, you don't recommend that. You recommend just take it real simple off the top, and you guys do 7%. If it'd be closer to 15%, if they were providing everything for themselves, and you're just giving them, maybe like sales materials and a polo or something,
Right.
and you'd do 15.
Yeah, that's probably somewhere where you need to land. Yeah. And then, like I said, the rest, there's plenty of places to fall in between, right? There's plenty of negotiating and things that can happen to fall somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. That makes sense. Cool. All right. I got a question here from John. A couple questions. John, what do you feel is missing from your tech stack today?
I would say if there's one thing that I could have technology-wise that we don't have right now, would be a fully integrated financing system in our CRM. I would say that's the only thing that I truly we use ProLine, we love it. I don't have, I mean, you guys are coming out with new features every week, and I don't even use them because I like what I had already, and I don't need a lot of the new stuff. I still have not switched from Company Cam to ProLine's photo tool, which I have checked out a little bit, and it looks like we can make that change very soon. And then, we're using Roof Quote Pro and some different other things, but I really think a fully integrated financing system inside of a CRM would be a game changer. Financing is such a weird one, and it's a pain to track, and then the payouts come from different names, and there's just so many little things that just cause some confusion that if it was just built right into, ProLine, for instance, it'd be super simple.
Yeah. So basically something to replace QuickBooks entirely? Like you don't have that.
No, financing, like as in,
Oh, yeah.
like, yes, financing. So, take one of the million finance companies that finance projects for customers and embed it into ProLine to where like it lives in there somehow. And it goes through the payments direct. That's the big one is you get a payment through a finance company, then you got to take that, you got to realize that you got paid from them, right?
Yeah.
Make sure it hits your account so you can reconcile the account, then come back into ProLine, apply that payment to that account. It's just a little messy. I mean, it's not the end of the world. John's asking if there was one thing. I'm pretty satisfied. I'm just saying if there was one thing, that's probably the one that comes off to me that there's a little confusion with.
Yeah. And it makes it a little hard. Yeah, that's a good point. We played one of the issues that we've seen is that like everyone's constantly switching their finance provider because they're the thing is every new finance company comes out and they're like really competitive rates and everything to try to get customer share, market share, and then after a year they change and it's not great anymore. So it's like rather than what our worry would be, we do all this work to implement somebody and then nobody wants to use them in a year because like the risk profile has changed or something, and then they're on to somebody new and then they want us to integrate them. And so we've just taken like we integrate with everyone technically. It's not like a super deep integration, but like you can build it into your quotes and
Right.
stuff. But um yeah, that's been the approach so far. But I mean, it's one thing that our investors have been like, hey, do you guys want to do this? They push because it's a revenue channel for us. It would be additional revenue for us. Because there'd be a cut that ProLine would take. But yeah, so it's something we'll probably look at. Maybe not in the near future, but probably within the next year or two.
Yeah.
So, cool. Second question here from John was, what changes are you most excited for in ProLine over the next 12 months? I think everyone's talking about AI. Like I'm sick of hearing them talking about AI, but the AI features that we're launching are super powerful. Like we took our time. We really flushed out what would be valuable and what wouldn't be valuable. And one of the things that like we already have the AI agents platform that we're quickly building out. It already has the AI receptionist in it, but then we're going to be adding other types of agents, sales rep agents, production manager agents. So each role in your company will have an agent that can either assist that person that you have in that role and or do most of the role, like anything short of actually going to be on site with the customer automatically. And so I think that's obviously really valuable and cool. I don't know if it's what I'm most excited for. I just think it has a lot of value. I think what I'm more excited about is having our own AI co-pilot. I think we're going to call it ProPilot. So ProPilot in ProLine, where you can just talk to ProLine and you can say, hey, I need a new campaign for this. Can you set it up and run it for everyone with these tags? Or, hey, go find this project at this address, and then I need to send a new quote for them for VAF, and make sure that there's at least a 22% profit. And then, throw on a steep roof fee for this, or go order an Eagle View measurements. Like that's what we're going to be building out over the next probably 6 to 8 months. And launching that, like we'll have version 1 of it probably very soon, but we'll be building out it to be complete where ideally not only are you going to be able to use ProLine completely through the app, which we're about to launch a new mobile app. It's going to be a lot more robust and fast, and on the computer, but then you'll also be able to, in our vision, probably within the next 12 months, be able to completely use the platform by voice. And so having those like 3 different channels, you can literally be in your truck, completely hands free, just talking to ProLine ProPilot, and doing work, sending out quotes, getting information, checking on profitability, like all that stuff is going to be something you can just do, just like just by talking. And so that's I think what I'm most excited about. It's going to be very powerful. All right. Got some questions here in the chat. So Julian, been trying to catch us for 50 years. So thanks for jumping in. Glad you could join us. I want to just say we're not trying to talk about ProLine. This show is not a ProLine show. I happen to be CEO of ProLine, but this is more about roofing. So this will be the last question specifically about ProLine that I'll answer, because we want to stay focused on roofing in general on this show and not make it about ProLine. But question here from Julian is, will ProLine ever receive a slider tool similar to the profit tool, but for calculating overhead percentages on quotes? And the answer to that is no, because it's not possible. You cannot calculate out your overhead on a per project basis, because that's the nature of your overhead expense, is that it's something for your entire company. So every time you add a project, we'd have to be updating retroactively every single project. Now, will we have better overhead tracking in ProLine for reporting? Yes, but it won't be tied into individual projects and quotes, because that would never actually be accurate. That would give you it would most likely just lead to mistakes. If you're the thing with the profit sliders, you just need to know, and you set your minimums and your permissions of what is the lowest amount of profit that you can afford to take on a job. And that's a decision that needs to be made by you as the owner. But we are going to be building out more reporting around overhead and tracking overhead expenses in ProLine, especially things like sales and marketing expenses. Those things are going to get built out in the reporting side of ProLine. Because it's very important to track overhead, and it is definitely one of the weaker areas of ProLine. It just won't be on a project by project basis, because there's no way to make that accurate. Julian, other question here. In your first year of business, so I guess this is directed at you, Scott. Once you were settled, what was the thing, process, tech, or move that elevated your revenue the most? What's the most important thing that you did in that first year of business?
The first year was an absolute nightmare, so I don't know that I want to give you too much of that. Honestly, the only thing I did in the first 3 years that really, kind of, I think set us up for success was just hustle. We just outworked everybody else. I outworked all the other competitors that were young, up and coming companies. I think like between myself and the people that I had around me, we just outworked all of them. I don't think that's what I would do again if I knew what I knew now. But the first thing I really did as a business that completely changed our trajectory was really niching down and finding our specialty, and then becoming the guy for that, right? And for us, it's shingle roofs. So I mean, we do other roofing still, but we push shingle roofing all day, every day. That's all we're really promoting, advertising, and targeting. But the only other thing I would say that I did right at that same time that kind of goes hand in hand with that is learning to say no. So when you're niching down, you're still going to get all the phone calls, all the texts, all the old friends that, hey, can you come over here and do this little thing, do this bathroom remodel, or lay a tile backsplash for me, or what, you're still going to get all that as you niche down. And to niche down, you have to learn to say no. So I think that was like I said, it came kind of hand in hand at the same time, but those are the two things that we had to do to really change our trajectory, and it did.
Love that. All right. Yeah, that's such a powerful thing. I think that's a huge mistake that a lot of business owners make, is not niching. And it seems like, oh, well, I want to maximize the number of people I can serve by just providing everything. Business does not work that way. You will do so much better being hyper focused on one type of service. That being said, I think you can get too niche too. That's definitely a problem as well. But it depends on what your market expects. I think depending on the market, some markets you can just do roofing, roof repairs and roofs. Some markets, I think you really have to be exteriors. You need to also have siding, gutters, have a little bit more robust of an exteriors offering. But I think it depends on the market. And I think that's kind of the range. Once you start getting outside of that and you start getting into like maybe windows and doors is about as far as you can go when it comes to exteriors. But once you start getting into like, oh, well, we just do we do decks, we do roofs, we do decks. Once you start doing going that far out, or like, oh yeah, we'll do your bathroom, like you're gonna sink yourself.
Yeah, for sure. You can't be good at that many things. Like you can be, but you can't be the best at it. You cannot be the best at everything. You can be the best at one or two things.
Yeah. I even think like gutters and siding are pretty similar and easy to quote. And they're comparable to roofing, but I would steer most people away from even doing the windows and doors because it's a very different process, completely different suppliers. Like you're opening up a whole new line of business versus like adding siding or gutters is not like a huge like load on the business. But yeah. All right. Julian, I'm sending you a message here in a second. So we have a question here from Brandon. How do you respond if a customer calls back with a leak or issue after install? They call a buddy who sort of knows things and says they did some things wrong and influencing them poorly. It sounds like they talked to someone and that person was like, "Oh, your roofer installed it wrong." So now I think that you messed it up. How would you handle that situation, Scott?
We've dealt with this more than once, unfortunately. Like people, they'll hire you, and then they're the same ones that get up there and will tell you, "Well, you did this wrong," and then you got to explain to them, "Well, you hired me. If you think you could have done better, why did you hire somebody?" Same with the buddy. Well, why didn't your buddy install your roof? You know what I mean? And I don't know how to say that necessarily, but it definitely can be brought up in conversation. The first thing we do is get out there immediately. My guys have 24 hours. You know, we get call back for a leak on warranty. We're going back within 24, or we're at least they have to have a game plan within 24 hours. So they're either going there or they have an appointment to get there within 24 hours of that call. That helps a lot because a lot of times if that's the case, you know, you're there before the so-called buddy made it or whatever, you know, the neighbor, we see that sometimes, you know, the neighbor said that this is not right. And it's like, dude, it's exactly right. It's exactly what the package says to do. You know what I mean? It's not even, you know, it's not even our system. It's exactly what the manufacturer wants done. So, being quick is huge. And then just communicating, you know, it's not hard if you did it right. It's not hard, and I'm sure you did. It's just not hard to find good material to prove that what you did was correct. Like if it was a flashing issue, it's not hard to get online and find, you know, some documentation that validates the way you installed it. I've got one right now I'm actually going to tomorrow. He doesn't like how we counter flashed it. We literally counter flashed it per code, like exactly how it's supposed to be flashed per code. The people that built his house, they didn't counter flash his brick walls. We're not installing a roof if we can't counter flash it. It's part of the reason it was leaking.
He wanted you to do it the same way they did it. Like
He doesn't like the way it looks now because it looks different than it did, but it looks perfect in my eyes. It's exactly the way it should be, right? Well, now I gotta go up there and deal with him because he's like completely distraught that he doesn't like this flashing. It's white counter flashing, runs up his brick. Well, he's got white soffit facing gutter, so it should be white, you know. It looks perfect. But the point is he thinks it's wrong, and it's clearly not wrong. Like it has to be there where it's gonna leak again like it did before we started doing the job for him. So yeah, I think you just gotta validate your process, what you did, what you installed. It's not hard to find something and get that done though.
Mark is throwing some thoughts in here. He says they always have a Bob Vela buddy down the street, and the job could have been done for half the price too. They'll likely want a material and labor breakdown. Don't do it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Bob Vila.
Bob Vila, who is I don't know who that is. Am I
Like,
out of the
yeah, you're out of the loop, man. That's like the old carpenter dude that used to be on like PBS or whatever it is on forever.
Yeah, that's I didn't watch enough TV growing up.
Yeah.
Bob Vila, TV construction guru. Yep. All right, cool. Thanks for that question, Brandon and thoughts, Mark. All right. So we'll get back to our questions, but if you guys got any more questions for us, thanks for all those. Those are great. Keep them coming. We'd love to keep answering what you guys are specifically interested in. I'm going to pull one question here from our list in the meantime. Well, how about this? Well, I'm going to ask this question. This question is not just for Scott, but it's also for everybody here. So everyone can share as well. And I'll read off anything anyone sends in. The question is, what are the most common sales objections that you face when selling roofs, and how can you effectively counter them? So if anyone has a sales objection they want to drop and in the chat, and then also along with how you would deal with it, please drop that in the chat and I'll share that. But I'll let you start, Scott. What's the most common sales objections, and how do
I
you
mean,
deal with it?
our number one is price. Price is always the number one objection. And you know, every sales guy that trains sales will tell you price should never be the number one objection. I haven't figured that out yet because it's literally always the objection. They like the material we're using. They like the professionalism that we had. They like the automations for their appointment reminders, you know, coming up to the appointment. They like the look of the proposal and how nice and well outlined and well described everything was, and the warranty that we provide. Like, they like all of it. They just don't like the price. So that's a big one to overcome. We overcome that with financing is one way. That definitely is a way to help overcome that. And I think really being descriptive in what we're offering that does warrant that little higher price tag. You know, we're sharing our GMB links at the appointment so they can see the reviews. They can also jump on and see other reviews from other contractors that say they've only got 3 reviews and their quote's only $200 cheaper, and you got 200. It's probably worth spending the extra couple $100, you know? Just things like that, really, really showing those things, to help, I guess, ease that mind of that little bit of price difference to make it worthwhile to the customer.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Let me see if anyone dropped any expand this so I can see. I think some people dropped a couple of things here. Oh shoot. Okay. You're the first roofer we have spoken to that has given us an estimate. Is that so? This is from Dave.
That's a good one.
Is that an objection? Is like you're the first roofer?
Yeah, because they won't sign on the spot because they've got 4 other companies that are supposed to come out, and maybe they came out, but they still haven't received their quote. They're still waiting to get their quotes back, That happens to that's a good one. That happens to us all the time. Typically, because we're the first one there, that's half the battle because we usually, I mean, we're quick to get to the appointments. But the other reason is we'll give them a quote on the site, and the rest of the guys might take 3 weeks to get them a quote. It's unbelievable. But by God, they will not make a decision until they get all their quotes in order.
Yeah. And I mean, what is your? Do you have an overcome for that, or is it just?
Yeah, I mean, Josh sends it to him in text all the time. He'll straight say, if it's taking them this long to get you a quote back, how do you think the roof process will go? And a lot of them will be like, that's a really good point. Let me think about that. You know what I mean? Because it's like, if the guy can't write you a simple quote for a re-roof that we did on site, on the spot in 5 minutes, like, how do you think that roof's going to go? Probably not going to go great.
Right. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. That's good. All right. We have a lot of questions here in the chat, so we're gonna move on to these. But thank you for that, Dave. That was a good contribution to the objections list. Um, Josh asks, how do you feel about third-party inspection companies that are exclusive to a carrier?
Out of my wheelhouse. I don't know anything about it, unfortunately. I've never dealt with that once, so I couldn't give much response.
Yeah, we don't have. So someday we need to get somebody. We need to get another person on this podcast that has insurance.
Insurance guy. Yeah.
We'll find
Yep,
somebody.
that's where I'm lacking big time. I don't have much of that knowledge.
Yeah. So sorry, Josh, we don't have a good answer for you on that. Julian asks or says we are growing purely organically outside of a low to medium LSA budget in a medium-sized market. Processes are good for our size, but we currently rank anywhere from 4 to 8. I'm guessing that means in Google. First 6 months in business, killing it on reviews, and have 105K in revenue. And I'm feeling stuck on simply getting in front of people. How do you overcome this?
You got to put yourself in front of them. I mean, at that size, that early, you just go put yourself in front of them. That's, your personal social media. AJ, I like boosting posts, especially at that size business. Like you're prime for just running those small budget boosted Facebook posts.
Yeah.
Really targeting around your job site, 1-2 mile radius, put $20 to $30 a week with it. Nothing significant, but it will reach followers. Do things to build your social media followers. I don't know what we're at. We're probably like 4,000. I mean, or something like that, maybe. I don't know. It's been so long since I looked, but doing those things to really try to, don't be afraid to ask. That's just it. Like, jump on yours and share your business page and say, hey guys, we're really trying to build this page. I'd love it if you could go give us a like and a share, blah, blah, blah. You'll be surprised. Your friends will do it. Like, they want to help you out early on for sure. But then canvas, get out there and knock doors. Like, and I'm not saying be a full blown solicitor, but if you're driving around, I'll tell you a story. We got one, I don't know when this was, a week or two ago. I was training a new site supervisor, and we were driving by this commercial building. And commercial building is a little easier because it's easy to find a phone number, right? So regardless, it's like a dentist office. It's got a big shingle roof. So it's in bad shape. So I gave the address and information to Josh, whose territory that job would be in. He got a number, called him, come to find out it's managed by a property management company. So he talks to them. They've got 8 roofs in that area that they're getting quotes on this summer and would like us to quote all 8 of them. One phone call and we got 8 opportunities. Like, don't get me wrong, that's a great day. Doesn't happen like that usually, but we throw ourselves out there. You got to put yourself in front of people and to give yourself opportunities. Just throwing these ads up at what I have found, and this is coming from a guy who's spent a lot of money marketing over the years. None of it works as good as really going out hustling and putting yourself in front of people on your own. That's the number one marketing solution.
You can't really scale it past a certain point, but at that level,
As if all of your team does it, it scales.
That's true. That's cool.
As you have a bigger team, you have more people with trucks on the road, with eyes on houses in the neighborhoods they're working in, with business cards in their pocket. You've got more people. You can scale that. You've just got, you've got more people that have the ability to do the same actions.
Yeah. Yep. I love that.
It takes training, it takes effort, it takes work, but it doesn't take a lot of money, and it works very well. That's why I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. Julian says, thanks AJ for referring me to Dima's SEO school. think that was joint Scott and my recommendation. Yeah, Dima's great. Highly recommend Dima. He's also he has. I love the fact that he sort of will just give you the tools. Like he'll do stuff for you too, but not a lot of SEO people will do that. They want you to pay them to do it, but he lets like any size company work with him because you can get in, start getting stuff done just because he'll tell you what to do. So yeah, absolutely. Highly recommend him. This chat is getting long. Hold on. Yeah, Julian, you ask all the questions that you want. We'll take your questions. All right. Josh says, I am a storm restoration contractor in the Denver market, and we deal with third-party inspections constantly. This is the number 2 hail market. Yeah, I know a little bit about Denver. I'm actually in Wyoming right now. I flew into Denver to get up here, in Casper, but yeah, it's pretty crazy. And we should bring Brian Huff on sometime, I think, and talk about the insurance, and because he's in the Denver area. So that would be good. All right. Thanks, Josh. Julian says, how did you overcome removing yourself as the face of the company down the road?
Yeah, that was not easy. I did a full rebrand to do that because the old business was named T-Bay Roofing. It was a really difficult thing to pull myself away from it when my name was plastered on the side of the truck. So, we did a full rebrand. I don't recommend doing it unless you have to. It's expensive. It's hard. You lose trust in the community that you spent so many years building. Like there's not too many upsides. But I knew for the vision that I had long term, I didn't have a choice. I wanted myself eventually completely out of it, and even further down the road, like gone, sold, like not involved at all. It's going to be hard to sell T-Bay Roofing. So, I knew I had to make that change. But the other thing is basically like I got to the point where I even tell friends of mine, wouldn't call them friends, acquaintances, people that I've known for a long time, that they would call my personal phone and I would direct them to our office line. Like I've got things that I do. Screening phone calls and jumping to go to an appointment 2 hours down, 2 hours after you call is just not what I do anymore. So what you need to do is call the office, and somebody's going to set you up with an appointment with the correct rep that needs to come out and take a look at that job. And just be adamant that, hey, this is the way it works. We're going to take care of you, but if you want taken care of to the best of our ability, just follow the process. The worst thing you can do is, and I still catch myself every once in a while, I'll do it. I'll divert from the process for a special occasion, and you know what happens? It's usually a terrible outcome compared to if they just follow the process. It's always a good outcome. So, yeah, I mean that's what we did.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we got one more question here. We're coming up on the end of our call here, but we got a question here from, so is it Dave or Davey? I think it's Dave. I think it's just Dave, but I see 2 V's. I'm not sure if that's intentional spelling. But I'm assuming it's Dave. Any suggestions on recruiting new reps? That's from Dave.
Oh God, we've used every avenue that exists. Like I got one guy that used to be a metal sales rep for one of the metal sales companies I worked with. I got one guy I hired off Indeed. I got one kid that I hired straight out of high school that just worked for us as a hand for 2 or 3 years prior to. I hired a kid off Facebook. I've had a couple guys that just found us and they were good. They interviewed and we added them to the team. So you just got to be always recruiting. It doesn't, like, that's the thing. It's not there's not one thing that works incredibly well. It's just you always have to be recruiting and keeping track of those recruits and doing those kind of things, because that's where always having an ear to the ground makes a big difference.
Yeah, I like it. Cool. I like it. Okay, got a from Dave here. What's the feel with the new AI assistants? If you were just joining, I guess you mean if you're just getting into business as a new business owner, would you start using AI assistants? What would you say to that, Scott? As like first year of business, would you start using them right out of the gate?
Absolutely. Honestly, it's probably just as necessary, or just as convenient. I'll say that it's just as convenient. Um, the longer you can not have employees, or the longer you can have the minimal amount of employees, the better. It's, the thing with people, like, here's the thing. I hate AI because it does away with people, and I like people. But the problem with people is people come with problems, right? Sick days, vacation days, whatever. Like, obviously, I'm people too. Like, I'm the same. I have the same problems as anybody else would. Um, what's nice with an AI assistant, it never shuts off. It's on 24/7, 365 days a year. It's always on. So it's always something that can be there to back up the people. If that's just you, perfect. Do you want to, miss having dinner with your wife and kids because you're busy answering phone calls like I used to? Well, don't do that. For a very little amount of months, you can have an AI agent take on those few phone calls in the evening that are very valuable, because, those could be tens of thousands of dollars worth of roof jobs. Um, you don't want to miss them, but at the same time, you got to prioritize some time off of work too. So, yeah, I think it's very, very necessary.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's the new norm. People, and it's not just the new norm on the business front, and absolutely critical to implement these AI tools into your business for efficiency, but it's also um, going back to overhead. Or getting questions about overhead earlier. Is it's just it it allows you to provide a much better experience for the same amount of overhead, and or especially early on, it might delay the point at which you need to hire somebody in your business. So therefore, you can keep your overhead lower for longer. Both of those are extraordinarily valuable. Um, and it's it's the new norm, not just for contractors, but also for homeowners. They're quickly, especially if they can call up at 11 p.m. at night and get someone they can talk to, even if it's an AI agent. If the AI agent has the right information, is able to schedule them for an appointment, they don't care. They just want to
Yeah.
get their roof taken care of. So it's definitely critical to be implementing these things. We got 1 minute, so we'll hit this last question here with from Dave. He says he's running Indeed and Craigslist ads. Is AI used mostly for receptionists, or can it do more as far as scheduling and ordering jobs? Also, I really need help in marketing to get new leads. Um, do you have any thoughts on that, Scott, or do you want me to address?
I mean, we're talking about the running Indeed and Craigslist ads. Yeah, I mean, I didn't know Craigslist was even still a thing, to be honest with you. That's the only thing I would say. Indeed works well. Like, we've had a lot of good luck with Indeed. It's expensive, but you can get good candidates from Indeed. Um, I would probably look at Facebook before Craigslist. I just don't. I mean, I was a Craigslist fiend at one time. I was buying and selling stuff on Craigslist like all the time. I, there's just nothing left on there. People really aren't utilizing it very much like they do Facebook Marketplace. So I would look at Facebook probably before that. But yeah, you can respond to the AI stuff.
Cool. Yeah, the AI receptionist is the lowest hanging fruit, but I can't speak to other platforms. But for ProLine, we're rolling out a lot of different AI agents for the entire process. Plus, I was talking about earlier with ProPilot, you're going to be able to just talk to the CRM, have it quote jobs for you, have it move projects around, have it enter data, pull data. You're going to be able to just completely interact with the system conversationally. So that's where we're headed on this. AI receptionists are the lowest hanging fruit, and I'd say the most high impact application today. It's like where you can get the most value fast. But yeah, it definitely does not end there. As far as the marketing for new leads, I just give the same recommendation I've given before. We've both given, which is well, I'd give two recommendations. If you're early on, I'd work with Dima from SEO school, because he can help you do for very little money. Just get into his school. You can then start implementing things from his school and get some results fast. As you get bigger, if you're looking for more of a done for you thing, which is not an early stage thing, this is, as you get bigger, Dima does offer some done for you stuff as well. Another recommendation I'd give is Hook Agency. Um, Hook Agency is really great. They're the agent go-to like done for you agency that I would recommend. Well, we're gonna kind of wrap up here because we're out of time. Josh did say, you asked earlier, what is homeowners' number one concern? And he says it's not price, it's trust. Totally agree. Totally agree. Well, I agree and disagree. Price is a check mark. But I mean, trust is a check mark. If they do trust you, then they're concerned about price. But all right, we'll wrap up there. And thanks everybody for joining. Really good questions today. Lots of questions from you guys. Really appreciate that. That's always fun. Always more fun answering and talking with you guys than it is just going through our pre-made questions. So appreciate that. Been really fun. So we will wrap it up here, and we'll see everybody next week.
See you guys.
Later, Scott.
See you, man.